Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Laravel 5 recipes course. We're diving into section 2 right now, and this section is going to focus around sending notifications. Now, notifications are an essential part of every application, whether you're talking about emails, text messages, SMS, Slack notifications, anything like that. You generally need a way to communicate with your users. And so sending notifications is super important for any modern web application. And that's going to be the focus of this entire section. And this is going to give a lot of life to the applications that you build. Now, throughout this section, we're going to focus on learning a whole bunch of different things. First of all, starting in this video, we're going to talk about configuring your development emails, how we can send emails from a development environment, and how that differs from sending emails in a production environment. After that, we're going to go through, we'll learn about creating a contact form that people can submit and how we can convert information from a contact form to dynamically send an email. Then after that, we'll talk about sending email from Markdown. We can actually use Markdown to easily parse and actually send an email. It's really, really easy. You guys are going to love it. And then after that, we'll talk about some other types of notifications. We'll go on and we'll learn about SMS messages, how you can send phone-based messages, text messages to your users. This is always something that's going to be really handy. And then another thing is Slack notifications. And there's a unified API throughout Laravel. It's going to make it super easy to send all these different types of notifications, just different ways to communicate with your website visitors. Now, as I mentioned, this video right now, we're going to talk about configuring emails, how we can get emails set up right now in our environment. So this video is going to focus on how do we set up emails for development, what other methods of email that we can use from Laravel out of the box, and then why development email is different from what we might use in production and why we might be using different services. So let's understand real quick what email services are supported in Laravel. So Laravel actually contains a wrapper for the very, very popular PHP library, which is maintained by Symfony, called SwiftMailer. So this is probably the most popular mailing library that is used in the PHP community. And Laravel comes with it built in, and it comes with a really easy interface to work with this very powerful library. So because we have access to the library, we have access to a lot of different drivers that library supports. Now, out of the box, Laravel supports SMTP mailing, which is probably the most common for anyone that's not using an API-based email service or email service provider. SMTP is kind of the base standard that email is sent right now across the internet. And so basically any email provider can provide you SMTP credentials that you can plug in and start sending emails in Laravel super easy with almost no configuration other than just inputting those credentials. After that, we also have a product called Mailgun, which you may be familiar with. It's supported by the large hosting provider Rackspace. SparkPost is also supported inside of Laravel out of the box, and so is Amazon Web Services product SES, Simple Email Service. So these are kind of the core products that are supported out of the box with Laravel, but whatever email service provider that you are currently using, there's highly likely that there is a package or driver available for Laravel to support that because SwiftMailer is such a large library and so widely supported. Any major email service provider is going to be available, even though these are the ones that come out of the box without any additional configuration. You can definitely make this work with anything. Of course, any email service provider can provide SMTP credentials, and you can always fall back on that option as well, which SwiftMailer and Laravel support. Okay, so we have lots of different options. And again, these are all going to be options that you can use to send real emails in production to real users, okay? And they're not going to go into the spam folder. It's a really powerful way to send even thousands or tens of thousands of emails a day. Now today what we're going to be setting up is instead of worrying about a production email service provider, which is something that you can go ahead and figure out which one you want to use, we're going to be setting up a development email service provider. And the one that I like to use is MailTrap. This is definitely the most common across the Laravel community. And Laravel comes pre-configured for MailTrap and sending development-based emails. So let's talk real quick about why you might want to use development email over a production email service product. So MailTrap does not send real emails to people. The benefit of using MailTrap is that it allows you to send emails from your application, and MailTrap will actually catch every email before it goes out to a user and then puts it into a unified inbox that you can inspect. It also provides some additional tools to check like spam settings and to kind of inspect the email as well, the HTML of the email and things like that, some development tools. But the important thing is that it catches all the emails sent from your application and pulls them into this email box. So even if you're sending an email to your mom or your grandma or some email that you don't have access to, MailTrap's going to grab it before it goes out to them and then put it in an inbox that you can inspect. So this is important because if you are working with a real database with real users in development and testing new features, when emails get sent out, you're actually going to be able to read and inspect them, and you're not going to accidentally send emails to real people from your development environment, which could be a problem. So this is what we're going to be using. This is a free product to sign up. So I recommend going to MailTrap.io to get started here. You can go ahead and click sign up. You can sign up multiple ways. I sign up through my GitHub account. So we're going to go ahead and click this, and you can see I was able to log in to my account. So with the free account, you have access to one inbox. So we have this test inbox that I've created, and inside of here, this is where this is going to be like the inbox that we receive all of the emails that MailTrap catches. So now let's go through, let's configure MailTrap in Laravel so that it can begin catching all of those emails that we send out. And then we can see the emails that Laravel sends out and be able to inspect them. So you can see here we have some credentials inside of our mailbox. We have a host, port, a username, a password, and then obviously our authentication. So this is the information we're going to use to configure Laravel to send using MailTrap. And as you can see, this is normal SMTP credentials. So if you had another email service provider for production, you could basically you would just put in your own SMTP credentials, just like how this works, and fill up your .env file, just like we're about to do here. So let's go ahead and get this configured in Laravel. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to our code, and inside of our .env file, we're basically going to fill in all of these mail parameters. Now you can see again, the default driver is SMTP, which is a universal protocol for email. The default mail host that Laravel sets up is smtp.mailtrap.io, and that's actually what our host needs to be because, like I said, Laravel comes pre-configured to use MailTrap. And then the port number is actually already correct. All we really need to do is put in our username and our password. So let's go ahead and do that. We've got our username here. We're going to copy that and paste it. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing for our password, copy and paste it in here. And that's it. So that's all it takes to configure email in Laravel. Now, of course, right now we're set up for that development environment. When you push to production, you would basically just swap out the environmental file on your production server, would just have whatever credentials are for your production level email service provider. And so then when you're working on development and you push to production, it'll automatically take over and start using the production credentials when it's in the production environment. When you're in development, you'll use a development provider like MailTrap.